The Las Vegas Grand Prix is not off to a good start. Free practice 1 had to be red flagged and suspended after only 8 minutes due to a loose drain cover, ruining the driver's chances to learn the track. And to make matters worse, the loose drain cover and debris on the track ruined Carlos Sainz's, Zhou Guanyu's, and Esteban Ocon's car. And this is only the start of a weekend that looks set to only become worse. Stick around to see what the drivers think about this seemingly disaster weekend in the States. A catastrophic start to the Formula 1 Las Vegas Grand Prix, with the first practice session abandoned early on, has serious ramifications. After just 8 minutes, FP1 was red flagged after Carlos Sainz struck a loose drain cover on one of the city street circuit's lengthy straights and came to a halt in his Ferrari. Just over 10 minutes later, the FIA announced that the session would not be restarted, a move with huge ramifications in the worst possible start for F1's brand new big-ticket event. The source of the problem was quickly identified: a failed concrete frame surrounding a drain cover. This appears to have allowed the cover to be partially removed when the cars went over it, leaving it hanging free before Sainz hit it. That is based on Fernando Alonso's apparent lightning reactions in avoiding the cover. Onboard video shows the Aston Martin driver responding to something near the drain cover, jinking left to avoid it and then glancing in his right side mirror. Sainz was a car behind Alonso and he was very close, so the Aston Martin would have obstructed his view. While this may explain the chain of events that led to the cover being struck, it's a significant problem until the main reason of why the frame failed is identified and fully resolved. If one frame may fail, so can others. It will take time to determine whether there are any further issues along the rest of the track. This entails inspecting every single drain cover across the course, which is a major logistical job. And this is not the start F1 would have wanted for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. The anticipation, the expenditure, the attention. This Grand Prix has a lot riding on it. And this is a really awful and troublesome way to begin. It's the worst possible beginning, even if the timetable is adjusted to lengthen the running time in other practices. Fans on site will undoubtedly feel misled. That is something that F1 will be aware of. It's no coincidence that a joint statement from F1 and the Las Vegas GP stated that all tickets, food and beverage and entertainment options will continue to be honoured while the rest of the schedule is finalised, and that we remain focused on providing our patrons with a great experience. It hinted at an understanding that spectators may choose to leave, but this was obviously a gesture to make it apparent to those on site that the show is still going on despite the suspension of on-track action. There's no sugarcoating how horrible it looks for a flashy and high-profile event to be derailed by a simple and small drain cover. Aside from the first blow to the event's reputation, certain cars have sustained genuine and severe damage. The crew reported extensive damage to the front of Sainz's Ferrari's floor. Alfa Romeo's Zhou Guanyu is also suspected of having damage below the car. He was running directly behind Sainz when the collision happened. However, it is unclear if he collided with the loosened cover or debris from Sainz's Ferrari. Esteban Ocon did collide with the drain cover, and Alpine has already verified that he needs a new chassis, despite the fact that he just collided with it at reduced pace when the session had already been red flagged. These are significant, time-consuming and costly setbacks late in the season, when team members are already pressed by an unusual schedule for the first race in a back-to-back to complete the season. Teams and drivers will also be calculating the cost of the 50 minutes or so wasted since the practice was halted, especially if it results in more scheduling modifications. The first session on a new circuit is always a thorough track cleaning. This is especially critical in Vegas because of the low ambient and track temperatures, which contribute to a low grip surface. Unique conditions necessitate additional learning from teams and drivers, as well as more reconnaissance work than usual, as simulator preparation in advance was significantly affected due to the circuit not being fully scanned. Essentially, the first session would have been a very useful and perhaps even needed for track familiarization, track cleaning, setup evaluations, and likely a variety of other reasons across the teams. That is no longer the case. While it is theoretically possible that other sessions will be extended to compensate, there may be further disruption to the schedule if more problems are discovered around the track and time is required to implement fixes. Especially since the track is new. Things couldn't have started worse for F1 this weekend, especially considering the huge backlash from the drivers before the cars even hit the track. Max Verstappen described the Formula One Las Vegas Grand Prix as 99% show and 1% sporting event, and stated the drivers looked like clowns during the opening ceremony on Wednesday night. World champion Verstappen is unimpressed with the events surrounding extravaganza, saying on Wednesday evening, "I don't like all the things around it. I'm looking forward to trying to do the best I can, but I'm not looking forward to this." Verstappen, among others, has stated that he has zero interest in attending the event. He and the other 19 drivers had previously been a part of the end of a 30-minute display described as the Grand Prix opening ceremony, in which the 10 teammate pairings emerged to the public on the start-finish straight by ascending on lifts from within platforms. "For me, you can all skip these kinds of things," Verstappen explained. "It's just standing up there. You look like a clown." Verstappen stated that there's no problem with the Las Vegas Grand Prix, but that it's just not really my thing, and that his objective is not to attempt to influence how F1 conducts such events, but rather to answer questions in an honest way. He has also called the 17-turn circuit with long straights a not very interesting layout. "I don't think it's that exciting," he said. "Already for me, a street circuit is not very exciting, especially with these new cars, they're too heavy. Also, when you have low grip, that doesn't help. Of course, the scenery will look great, driving on the strip, but the layout itself is not the most exciting. In F1 cars, it's a lot more fun with a lot of high-speed corners, and around here, there are not that many high-speed corners." While Verstappen was the main critical opinion among the drivers, with the majority either delighted or neutral, Lewis Hamilton was the most boosting character of the event, urging fans to give it a shot. "I think you'll still see good racing here. It's just such a big country. To really tap into the market here and really captivate the audience, we needed to have at least 2 races. One wasn't enough," Hamilton said. "This is one of the greatest, most iconic cities and unique cities that they have here among the other amazing cities in America. With all the lights, it's a big show for sure, and it's never going to be Silverstone. But maybe over time the people in the community here will grow to love the sport as much as we, who've had the privilege of growing up and experiencing it. Maybe the track will be good, maybe it'll be bad. It was so-so on the sim, it's definitely not Silverstone. But don't knock it until you try it. I hear there's a lot of people complaining about the direction that Stefano and Liberty have been going in, but I think they've been doing an amazing job. The sport is growing massively." Other drivers, however, raised misgivings about what they were forced to perform in Vegas, as well as the emphasis on the show. Fernando Alonso, who has frequently criticized the current demands on a driver's time during a Grand Prix weekend, feels it is acceptable to concentrate extra responsibilities during events like these, provided other areas are rebalanced. "Places like this, with the investment that has been done, and the place where we are racing, it deserves a little bit of a different treatment and a little bit of an extra show," he added. "I'm okay to do extra for this type of event, but maybe it could be balanced somehow and our schedule reduced somewhere else." Similarly, Charles Leclerc sees both sides of the argument, believing that F1 is correct to try to cement its place in the United States, but he does not want to see the sport's fundamental DNA change beyond recognition. "It's a lot," he told media on Wednesday, when asked about the opening ceremony. "But I think that if you don't do that here, you don't do that anywhere. I mean, what's most important to me is that the DNA of the sport remains the same. However, we need to also take opportunities of this kind of event in such incredible cities and make something around it that will maybe attract people that are not interested in racing at first, but then once they get to see the cars in real life, then get interested into racing. This could potentially be many more fans for the sport in the years to come, so I think it's great what F1 has done until now." Carlos Sainz also mentioned the demanding schedules that drivers would face in 2024 when the calendar will expand to 24 races. He stated that some things you look forward to doing more than others, and noted that there is a bigger issue that F1 should reconsider how race weekends are handled. "Our schedules are getting busier and busier every year that goes by," he said. "The weekends are almost starting earlier rather than starting later. We are adding races to the calendar, and it's getting to a point where sometimes it feels a bit repetitive and everything feels a bit overpacked, and we're trying to maybe overdo it a bit." What are your thoughts on the weekend up until now? Have F1 focused more on the show rather than the race? And are they paying the price right now? And could we see a surprise winner this weekend due to the nature of a new track and a broken weekend? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.